Good day, global citizens. Welcome to another episode of Dr. Fajemola's Opinion. On today's episode, I have a senior colleague, a professor, who I'm so glad he honored my invite to discuss a very delicate topic, which is very rare for people to read about and also to discuss. So I'm very happy we have an expert on board today to discuss and also teach us in ways layman people outside science can understand. To join me to welcome Professor Sheye Abimbola. Professor Sheye, how are you doing today?
Thank you very much, Aziza. Thanks for having me. It's great to be on your show.
Thank you so much for being on my platform. Sincerely, for those who are not Nigerians, let me put it this way: Professor Abimbola is on Dr. Fajembola's Opinion. So for those who are not Nigerians, we are not related. Because I know the Abimbola Fajembola, they might get them confused. Is entirely a different person who is also from the southwestern part of Nigeria, where I also come from the intricacies in innovation needed in this age. Professor, first of all, let's take it, because this paper, it's a paper that you have to read, reread and reread. For me, I had to reread, keep rereading to really understand it and be able to break it down for our audience. Prof, what is a polypill?
Put into one package for ease of administration and, as it were, compliance, quote and unquote, with the dosage. It's been used in tuberculosis. It's been used for HIV, where several drugs are combined into one. And it makes sense to do the same for cardiovascular disease prevention, right? Where people who are at high risk tend to be prescribed a battery of medication that they often take throughout the day, multiple tablets. And
enlightening us that polypill makes sense, but also it's easy life, and when something comes easy like that, we are hoping it's accepted, because even though it comes easy, there are many hands involved, from production to dissemination. So Professor, can we say polypill is a form of drug synergism?
No. So synergism is when the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, right? So when the drugs themselves are working in a way that they multiply each other's effects, right? And that's not the goal here. The goal with the polypill is even simpler. It's simpler in that this is not trying to make the drugs work better, as it were, pharmacologically, right? It's not trying to make the drugs do more than they would otherwise do, right? It's just trying to get the drugs into the system in an easier way, get people to use it more conveniently, as it were. So it's not an example of synergism. Would be drug B, it's greater than A plus B, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much for shedding more light on that, Professor. From the paper, now let's dive deeper into the paper. Without concentrating on the polypill, who are researcher entrepreneurs? Are there famous names who have this tag?
I often say to my PhD students that every research paper is an exercise in persuasion, right? So every piece of research you're writing, you're trying to convince some people of something, right? That something could be the value and the merits of what you are analyzing, or it could be your own brilliance that you're trying to convince them of, or it could be your own fair-mindedness that you're trying to convince them of. But there's always something you're always trying to do. I hope people are always trying to do something, because I am always trying to do something when you write a piece of paper. And if then your work is to make a discovery of something that is useful to people, or evaluate such a thing, whether it's a drug or whether it's a big complex thing like, say, a community health worker program, or a big complex thing like how you reorganize the governance of a thing, of a place. Go from as simple as a drug to a digital technology to a social innovation, right? If your job is to work on those kind of things, then of course part of your responsibility, I would assume, is to try to find a way to get people to use it.